Hi, everybody. There we go. Welcome to the Hohner Live here on the Hohner YouTube channel. This is episode 62. Thank you for tuning in. Say hello in the chat. Let us know from where you're tuning in. That's always very exciting. This is the second stream of 2022, and I'm super excited about the conversation today. Please welcome with me. Give him a big hand. I want to see some clapping hands in the chat. PT Gazelle, how are you today? Thank you for your time.
I'm good, Konstantin. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to talking with you.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm very excited. For those who don't know, PT is a master of playing half-F Richter diatonics and makes the harmonica shine in many different styles of music. I think like your duo record with Brent Power still belongs to my favorite harmonica recordings.
Oh, well,
and I love to play some of these pieces myself.
Well, thank you very much.
That's like, when did you release that one?
I believe it was, I have it sitting here. Let me look. I think it was 2008.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 2008.
I mean, it just sounds wonderful. I feel like there aren't too many duo harmonica recordings out there.
I don't know. You know, that conversation came up on one of the harmonica platforms online several years after we put that out, and I was surprised because there were some very meticulous harmonica aficionados that listed 7 or 8 or 9, duo projects that I wasn't aware of either.
Oh, okay.
But I think you're right. I don't think there's, really a lot of them out there. No. Yeah. It was quite a fun project to do. Brendan he's such a virtuoso on the instrument and such an innovator.
Yeah.
That it was really quite a wonderful project to do.
Yeah, definitely. Brendan, like not only one instrument, but on all the different tunings. And the record sounds so special because like both of you aren't playing like a regular diatonic Richter tuned instrument.
Yeah. Well, mine's Richter tuned, but I'm in essence, I'm able to fill in all the missing notes and do some stuff that, that make it sound a little different. Sure.
Yeah. So like the blending of the two instruments is way different.
Yeah, we were pretty happy with that because for those that don't know, Brendan, and I'm assuming he still does this, his chromatic is half valved. So he takes takes half the valves off so that he can bend and shade the chromatic notes. Yeah, or the chromatic harmonica, rather. Excuse me. Yeah.
I see. Yeah. Okay, people are tuning in. Andres is tuning in. Bruce of the Apes. Yeah, Jeff already with a question. We're gonna get to that later. So you're located in Tennessee right now. Is that right? Yeah.
Right. I'm just outside Nashville. Yeah, Nashville area.
Mm-hmm. So how's the situation right now for you? Have you been working online a lot, or did you have the chance to play some live gigs again?
Both. I would say last 6 or 7 months ago, I started to play live again. I haven't played a lot. I've played maybe half a dozen jobs since then. I have one coming up next month, but it's still. I mean, with this newer strain that's out there, a lot of places are reclosing in the area, so it's still kind of hit or miss at this point. But I continue to teach online, and I continue to do sessions for people. They'll send me tracks, and I'll overdub harmonica on that.
Oh yeah,
and the Gazelle method line, if anything, got more popular during the pandemic, which is crazy, but it did. And so really, honestly, Konstantin, my routine has only changed in that I'm not doing as many live performances. So.
Oh yeah. And at the same time, like for people out there or for harmonica students, there's so much that you can learn that you can only learn on stage. What are those things? What are things that you would consider being part of that?
I'm not sure I understood the question.
I was just thinking about stuff that you can only learn on stage.
Oh,
maybe you can tell us about your thoughts on that, especially talking to harmonica students.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, and it's something that I talk to my students about all the time. I can get them to learn certain things, but unless they go on stage and are able to perform it on stage, they haven't really learned it. So it's really, in this country, what we call trial by fire. I mean, you have to be able to not only learn it, but feel confident enough to get on stage and do it. And really, you really never really learn it until you make a mistake the first time on stage, and then you go home and you say to yourself, I'm either going to learn how to do this right, or I'm not going to play anymore. And that to me is the point where people get better or they give up the instrument.
Yeah.
So, because I don't think there's ever been a new piece of material that I worked up that I went and played for the first time on stage that I didn't feel like it's like I get home and I go, okay, I managed to pull it off on stage this time. The next time I go, I'm going to play it much better because I know what to do now. So there's a big disconnect between sitting at home and playing and being able to go and do it convincingly and entertain an audience.
Yeah, I definitely did have that experience.
We all do.
I remember like learning all the things you are at some point, and yes. I memorized it by heart, and like I went through the chords, like every time I went to bed I went through it and like transposed it to different keys and all that stuff. And then I went to my first jam session and I completely screwed up. I got completely lost.
It happens. It happens to everybody. It's not that it just happens to some people. It happens to everybody. And it's, especially with a tune like that, I don't even play that tune. That's above my pay grade to play all the things you are on a diatonic and play it all on one harmonica. That's
yeah.
That's off to you. So that's a great tune, clearly. Yeah,
definitely. So right before the stream, you were just asking me if I did play any other instruments before the harmonica,
right,
or have like other musical like education. So how about your journey?
My journey is a little different in that I was blessed with a very good ear and very good pitch. And when I was very young in school, the teachers used to try to get me to learn to read music, and I never would because they could play something and I could play it for them right away. I could hum it back or pick it out on the piano and I could do it right away.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I should have done that. I should have paid closer attention to that. I feel like I would have maybe taken a different route had I done that. So I can't say I'm sorry I did it. My journey basically has always been with the harmonica. I grew up in an area with many harmonica players, many really good harmonica players that I got to hear, like Butterfield and James Cotton and people like that. And I was always astounded by the fact that they could get so much music out of such a small instrument. And it was like a magic trick because, it's hidden, so you couldn't really see how they were doing it. And I think the turning point for me, though, was in about 72 when I heard Charlie McCoy for the first time. And that's what I wanted to do, because here was a guy that was clearly playing in second position in a blues position on the diatonic harmonica, but was playing legitimate melody lines because he was so good. He was so good on draw notes on holes 1 through 4. He was so good that he could make those legitimate notes inside of a melody. And that's what I wanted to do when I heard that. So that's kind of where it took off for me.
But like you were attracted to blues initially.
I would say I was attracted to it because I liked the fact that the bands I heard were very organized, and it was very tight. And like I said, some of the, like I used to get to hear Charlie Musselwhite and James Cotton and Butterfield and those people, and they were, the best of their generation. I mean, they were fantastic, and it was always fun to hear that, but I never really thought of myself as being able to play the blues. When I started playing the harmonica, I was always attracted to something other than that. I wanted to play melodies, and I started out playing like folk music and bluegrass, learning bluegrass fiddle tunes on the harmonica.
Okay.
And from there, I kind of then discovered McCoy and realized that there was a whole other way of playing melodies other than first position, or in that genre. And then it kind of progressed to Western swing after that, and I quickly realized that to play most of Western swing melodies, I needed the extra notes that I didn't have. And so I used to jump around from one harmonica to the other, because we're talking about a period of time where we didn't know about overblowing, we didn't know about half valving, we didn't really much know about alternate tunings, any of that. So I did that because I was playing in a country band, and the musicians in that particular band were mostly had come from a Western swing background, and they wanted me to play lines with them. I was part of the section, and the only way I could do it would be to jump around on different harmonicas, and it just never, I could do it, but it never really felt fluid and exact like how it should for me. And so I actually quit for about 15 years. I walked away from the instrument and didn't really play. And when I came back through a whole series of events, the whole half valving thing kind of happened at the same time I decided to start playing again. And it was like an epiphany for me. That was exactly how I always wanted the instrument to work for me.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. So these 15 years in between, did you still have anything to do with music during that period of time? Okay.
Didn't play a note. Never picked up the harmonica in 15 years. No.
Yeah.
No, I started doing engineering. I was doing audio for film and television.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So is that something that you still continue to do, or like just basically also working on your own records?
After I started playing again in 2003, I did both for about 10 more years until about 2013. And then I only played music again. And now I actually, one day a week, I teach at the university in Nashville, and I teach how to do audio for film and television. So
yeah,
it never really goes away. I'm still kind of doing both, Yeah.
So we could talk a lot about recording harmonica too.
We could.
So,
we could. I mean, you're looking at, in fact, the last project I did, the Loft Sessions.
Exactly. Yeah.
The last one I did, I did right here in this room. Basically, we had a bass player over in this corner. We had a guitar player back on that couch, and I was just outside this door with the door closed for a little bit of separation, and that's it. I mean, this is where we recorded it. So, and we got a pretty good sound, I think. So,
yeah, and you just recorded yourself, or did you mix it yourself then?
I hired a friend of mine to come over and to actually run the Pro Tools session, just so I wouldn't have to do it. I set it up and just let him, so I wouldn't have to keep running back and forth so much. I don't ever really totally mix my projects. I get them to a point where they're pretty close, but being the artist, you're too close to the project. I always find myself too close to the project and want to pick at it too much. And at some point, it's better to walk away and hand it to somebody and let a fresh set of ears listen to it, and they make some minor adjustments, and I usually come back and go, okay, now it's correct.
Right.
So, yeah.
Are there any suggestions or like tips and tricks or ideas?
I don't think there is
recording
I
harmonica?
I don't think that much of the nuts and bolts of it has changed since day one. You still have to get the right microphone at the right distance, at the right gain level with the correct preamp to power the microphone before anything else happens. And then you have to have somebody that can play also, right?
True.
So once you get through all that, the project shouldn't be that hard to finish, because quality players that know how to record with an engineer that understands the signal path and can put the right gain to the record makes it a lot easier. I use a ribbon microphone to record myself on harmonica. And there were a couple of projects where I not only used the ribbon, but I used my Fireball microphone, which I use live. I used it also. What I would do is I would put the ribbon kind of up at forehead level, about 1 foot away from myself, and I would kind of get pretty close to this, like right here, and then I would blend the two together.
Okay.
Because the ribbon gives you all the warmth of the room, and this kind of gives me the intimacy that I want without having to get too close to the ribbon microphone.
Oh yeah, I see.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Also using the microphone that you like playing live with on the recording.
But if you thought about it in terms of what the levels look like in the final product, the ribbon would be up here and the Fireball would be down here.
Okay.
It's just a little bit to give it that immediacy, that presence, that doesn't make it sound like the harmonica is too far away. Because this is a small instrument that we play. Acoustically, it doesn't sound very big, right? Okay. Even good players with good tone, it doesn't sound like a saxophone or a cello or something.
Yeah, you just don't have like the physical resonance chamber.
That's right. So I like to give it a little bit more of intimacy by getting a little closer to a microphone. Okay. You have to be very careful there, though. So.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's always interesting, because like also during our monthly harmonica challenges, I mean, all the participants are supposed to record themselves. So.
I see. And what is that? And how does that?
You get to hear a lot of different harmonica sounds.
I would bet you get the whole spectrum of good to really bad. So
yeah, and like crazy experiments with reverbs and everything.
Well, sure. Yeah, of course, man, of course. Yeah.
So, Bruce of the Apes is asking, how did you end up in country music and in Nashville?
Well, I started out playing bluegrass, and I grew up in Wisconsin, which is that state is north of Chicago, straight north of Chicago, just a little bit, maybe 90 miles, the state of Wisconsin. So once I started to get interested in bluegrass, I used to travel south to Kentucky to go to festivals in the summertime. And a recording engineer heard me that was recording the festival, a festival that I was at, heard me play and said, I don't have, he said, I record quite a few bluegrass groups where I am, and I don't have a harmonica player, and I get a lot of calls for it. And he said, would you be interested in moving to Kentucky and working in that studio? And I, of course, being however old I was, I just went, sure. Yeah, okay. I said, but I said, in return for moving there, I said, I want to record my own project.
Yeah.
And so that's how my very first one came about, Pace Yourself. That's how my first project came about. And then from there, at that time, it was in Lexington, Kentucky. And from there, when I was there, it was a pretty cool time to be in that city because there were a lot of really fabulous players there. Jerry Douglas, Dobro's virtuoso, and Ricky Skaggs was living there at the time, and Bela Fleck was living there, and Sam Bush. And I mean, there were a lot of really big up and coming names. So it was a great time to be there. And then through a series of events, somebody from Nashville who was in Lexington, Kentucky, heard me play and said, we just hired this harmonica player to play for a country artist named Johnny Paycheck, and he's not very good. So would you be interested in that job? And that's kind of how I ended up in Nashville.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and then move from there from country music to Western swing. And then there was that period where I didn't play anymore. But the Western swing got me interested in doing more complicated tunes and doing jazz standards and American songbook standards. And so when I came back in 2003 and started playing again, that's kind of where I ended up. I ended up doing what you're kind of hearing me do now.
I see. Okay. So you started out playing concerts live and then you went to the studio. Well, is that right?
Yes and no. Yeah, I mean, I started playing
did
live.
Both happen at the same time?
Yeah, no, kind of. I mean, I used to record with the artist I was working with, of course. When I stopped working the road with other artists in 1984 or 5, then I did sessions for about 3 years until I quit. I quit in 88. I got very frustrated with the instrument because I couldn't play what you're hearing me do today. I just didn't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
And which is incidentally about 1988, which is about the exact year and time that Howard Levy becomes a household name, becomes a name that becomes internationally known. Okay. So I was not at all affected by the whole overblow thing. I didn't know anything about it. Didn't know how to do it. Didn't know what it did. I could listen to him play and go, that's unbelievable, but I didn't know what he was doing.
But I'm sure you could play overblows now, right?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I mean, if somebody gives me a harmonica that's not valved, and I can, if I go to like hole number 6, I can squeak an overblow because I never practiced it. I don't know, you know what I mean? But I don't think the technique is radically different between the two.
Yeah, definitely not.
I think it's still a look. Let's talk about that for a minute. Okay, let's just talk about that for a minute. So, in my opinion, more advanced harmonica players. So let's say there's beginners and there's moderates and there's above average harmonica players and then there's professional players. So I'm going to say some moderates and some and above average players can play blow bends accurately at the top of the harmonica, because that to me is more difficult than playing the draw bends at the bottom of the harmonica, to play those accurately, whether we're tongue blocking or lip pursing. It doesn't, I don't think there's no differentiation there. To be able to do this, right, on 8, 9, and 10, if you can do that, you've got a pretty good embouchure. You've got a pretty good technique already. Now, to do overblowing and to do, especially doing half valving, the technique really for me did not change. But what changed was I had to strengthen and improve and refine my embouchure, because I'm now only isolating and bending a single reed when I do a half valve bend. So what I tell my students to start with is, if you can do this on 8 and 9, jump down now to holes 5 and 6 with the valve in there,
Yeah.
and do the same technique, because that's the octave. Those are the octave notes underneath it. Right. Now, when I first started, I didn't do it very well, okay, because I hadn't practiced. I hadn't refined and strengthened my embouchure. But as time went on, I could, to where if I now want to play a run or start on a valved bent note, I can do it.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of practicing. At first, it's going to feel very foreign. For some people of your generation, not so much. Not so much, because you don't have any preconceived ideas about Richter tuning. You just know that there's other notes that are available to you, and it's just another technique that you have to learn. People from my generation and the generation that came before me, it's a mental hurdle.
Oh yeah, that's an important cause.
To realize that you can now blow bend holes 1 through 6 with valves in there. It's like they go, I can't do that, you know. So it took a little while to do that, but I understood the potential of it and just went ahead and pursued it. An interesting side point of that story is that when I first started to do it, I just thought, well, I just need to get better. I'm just not good at it. I'm going to practice and I'm going to get better. So I practiced for a whole year, and then I'm at the SPA convention, the harmonica convention, and Joe Falisco hears me playing, and he goes, "Are you playing half valved?" Mm-hmm. And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yes, I am." He said, "Do you know how hard that is to do accurately like you're doing?" And I thought, well, I'm glad he didn't tell me that a year ago, because I may not have pursued it, you know. So I didn't have any preconceived, I just thought, you know, I just need to practice.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of harmonica players just get too involved in the online discussions and everything else, and they forget about the just learning how to get around on the instrument and where the notes are, and learning the basics, which is how to bend on this thing. Because if you're not doing the conventional bending on a diatonic harmonica well, then you're not playing this instrument. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Forget about the overblows, forget about half valving, forget about all that. If you're not able to go, if you're not able to do that, you're not really playing the instrument.
Yeah, and I mean, these notes are also do sound a little different on a half-valved harmonica.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, there's not any question that it changes the sound of the instrument.
So thinking about that, is there any like sound, role model that you had in your mind at some point? Was it like another instrument or a specific player?
I try to emulate muted trumpet, muted trombone, or clarinet. I mean, for me, those are, that's kind of similar to what happens when I half valve an instrument. Okay. It gives it a little more compressed sound, and it does change the tone a bit. What I tell people is, if you have the sound of a chromatic all the way over at this end of the spectrum, and you have an unvalved diatonic over here, if we half valve the diatonic, it moves the sound to about here, towards the sound of a chromatic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it becomes a hybrid sort of sound. Yeah.
And was it just you figuring it all out by yourself?
No.
Or did you have like any teacher for the half valved?
No. I taught myself how to do it.
Okay.
The history of it's a little interesting, because back in vaudeville days in this country, we had a whole era called vaudeville, where there were entertainers on stage, and they would juggle, and they would do gymnastics, and there was a lot of harmonica players that worked what we called the vaudeville circuit. Harmonica players like Bernie Bray and Stan Harper knew about putting a valve in a diatonic in the 20s and 30s. They had already figured out, with wind savers and chromatics, they had already figured out, if I put a valve over a certain slot, that I can get an extra note if I can learn that technique. And of course, it was a big secret, like everything was always a big secret with harmonica, until about 20 years ago. Harmonica used to be the most closely guarded secret of anything. Nobody showed anybody how to do anything. When the configuration, the current configuration of half valves, let's just look. So this is the blow plate. And so there's a valve covering the top 4 blow notes, the slot. Here's the reeds on this side, okay? Here's the draw plate. So the first 6 notes, first 6 draw slots have a valve on it. That configuration is Brendan Power. Brendan figured out where to put them.
Yeah.
Okay. My contribution is twofold. Mine is, I came up with a valve material that doesn't make noise while we play, doesn't stick, doesn't pop, and it's very good with temperature and moisture, both. Because as any chromatic player will tell you, wind savers are the curse of chromatics. There's always a problem.
Yeah, I do experience these problems.
Right. So after I came up with the material that I thought worked the best, then I started looking at how can I set the instrument up so that it best accommodates half valve playing, because it's a real fine line, because I still want to be able to, which are just, that's just regular diatonic playing without valves, anything, right? I want to still be able to do those bends and make them feel like they feel correct. But at the same time, I want to be able to have valved bends that react and do what I need them to do. Right, so that last note there is a 7 draw bend, right, which in second position is what our minor third that all harmonica players want in that second octave.
That's the first one you want to get, yeah.
Right, and so how do you, I forget, is that your 6 overblow to get that note? Yeah, that's your 6 overblow to get that note. So that's kind of what happens with the Gazelle method is we've got a valve that works now, and we have a setup that best accommodates being able to play spot-on valved bends, whether blow or draw, but still be able to play the instrument pretty much like a diatonic harmonica. Now, does it sound exactly like a diatonic without valves? No. And if you are playing nothing but blues, I'm not sure that that's the instrument for you. But if you want to play more melodically, or if you want to play classically, or if you want to play some jazz standards and things like that, it's a pretty cool way to go.
It is. So Rika is asking the right question. She wants to hear an example. She wants to hear some music.
Okay.
Is there anything you can think of right now?
Yeah, you know what? Let me just play, and hopefully this will translate. Let me just play a little bit of Green Dolphin Street, which is a jazz standard.
Nice, yeah.
Okay, let me just play. And what's cool about this is that...
So which key harmonica are you using for that?
I'm using I don't even, so it'd be an A flat. I'm using an A flat.
Okay.
It was written, the song was written in E flat. So I'm playing it in second position, basically. Okay. So let me see if I can. All right, so let's see. Let's get the track here.
I do love Matt's question. Is it possible to get every note on the harmonica equally sounding good?
Well, you know what? For some reason, I'm having an issue looking at iTunes here. Hold on.
I can just start a little ad for our harmonica challenge that's coming up very soon. I think I'm going to record the announcement video tomorrow and upload it. So on it's still January 13th. It's a Sunday again at 6 p.m. Central European time. We're going to do a folk harmonica challenge together with Filip Jers from Sweden. He was on the Hohner Live already. And again,
he's a great player.
There are 3 categories: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. There are three prizes. You can win one of 3 Hohner Echo harps, a tremolo harmonica for the first time. So yeah, check out the Discord server in the description box below to stay updated. That's also where you can upload your recording to participate.
Okay, here it is. I got it. Sorry about the delay.
Okay.
So let's see if I can play a little bit of this. There's a little bit.
Nice. So, what I was just noticing was just you holding the harmonica in a very special way. I feel like your right hand is actually the leading hand. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true. It's because nobody ever showed me anything about the harmonica. I didn't start out being a blues player where somebody said you have to put this finger on the harmonica and then, this finger, whatever you guys do it this way, don't you? Is it like this? Yeah. I don't know. I just, here's how I ended up this way. Here's how I ended up this way, because when you look at what I'm doing, look at all the access I have to the mouthpiece.
Oh yeah, that's very important.
It's complete, open. I have virtually this much of the harmonica that I can get at.
So you can take the harmonica pretty far into your mouth to get a big and warm sound, yeah.
Big and warm sound. And I always thought, I mean, like so many other harmonica players, the last part of the harmonica we explore and learn how to do is the upper register, okay, for many of us. And so it always made more sense to me to do my hand vibrato down with this hand, which is at the bottom of the harmonica. But again, it's because people never showed me anything. I just kind of figured out stuff on my own. So what you're hearing in Green Dolphin Street, the melody line, right? The second note is our major seventh.
That's a 6-hole blow band, yeah.
It's a 6-hole blow band. Now, which is the flatted sixth.
Yeah, that melody is actually a good example.
Right. So by just getting those extra two notes, which are the two that are missing in second position, the flatted sixth and the major seventh, now I can play a tune like Green Dolphin Street.
Oh yeah. Dirk says the grip looks like some of the older players did hold it. So Elder Roma Wilson did hold his harp.
Did he? Okay.
Okay.
Great player. Great player.
I never heard about him.
Oh man. Yeah, you should Google him or on YouTube and check him out, because he was fantastic, man.
Okay. Jerry is asking, are your backing tracks available?
Yes. So all my music, so there's 6 CDs. There's Back to Back with Brendan Power. This is my latest, The Loft Sessions. Madness to the Method. 2 Days Out. Swingin' Easy. And Pace Yourself. Are all of it. The only one that doesn't have backing tracks available is this one, because this was recorded in 1978 originally, and just didn't have the facility to do that then. All of these are available as high quality MP3 downloads, both as the production track, the full production track, and the mix minus, which is the backing track.
Oh wow! I want to have the Swing 42 backing track.
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you. I don't. So all the music is available at my website, ptgazelle.com, and you can get for those of you out of the country, out of the U.S., you can get high quality downloads of the full production and the backing tracks. Okay, it's on the website. If you're in this country and you want the physical CD, you can get the CDs. I read the other day that CDs were making a comeback, which I'm pretty happy about, actually. I hope that's true. We'll see.
Okay, yeah, that would be nice. So everybody, you can check out the description box below. You can find all, the link to PT Gazelle's website there and all other social media accounts.
That's also where you can also find out a lot more about the Gazelle method harmonica there too. We have 2 models. It's manufactured by Seidel, and let's just take a look for just a second at it. So,
because Matt is also asking about the other parts of the
harmonica.
instrument.
We make 2 models. We make the 1847 model in Gazelle half valved Gazelle method, and we make the session steel as well. Okay, both of them come with the range from low C up through regular F. So 18 keys available there, which is pretty nice.
Wow.
And the cover plates. So typically on this one, this is what we call the traditional design. This would be similar to the Marine Band line, right? Where it's a sandwich harmonica and the reed plates extend all the way out to the edge of the comb, right? The session steel model is the recessed reed plates. This would be similar to, is it the Special 20 that has recessed reed plates?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think so.
Also the Hohner Rocket.
That's right. Yeah, sure, of course. And then the cover plates, it just depends on what you prefer. So this is the more traditional design, similar to what you would get with a crossover or a deluxe or a traditional Marine Band, right? And then there's the full cover plate that doesn't have the flattened part there. It covers the whole thing. I use
a Saturn Steel or a Gold Melody.
Yes, like a Golden Melody. I use both. When I'm recording and doing jazz standards and stuff, I like that. I like this one because it's a little more rounded and a little sweeter sounding. I play with a couple of bands here in town where we do a lot of rhythm and blues and bluesy kind of stuff, and I typically use this because it's crimped open in the back and it's a much bigger volume and it's a little brassier sounding. So, but they're interchangeable. You can change, you can kind of order it the way you want. So all that information's there as well.
Oh yeah. Wonderful. Jerry's asking, will you be visiting my Zoom harp hang tonight?
Is that tonight? Is today Thursday? I guess it is.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Tell Jerry I will be there because I've been very bad about not going to his Zoom meeting. So tell Jerry I'll be there.
Yeah, Matt is writing, yes, I'm playing them, but the reed setup out of the box is not perfect. I'm wondering since years now how PT would set up his reeds. Do you work on your reeds yourself?
Yeah. I mean, here's what happens. So when you order it from Seidel, if you order it from Seidel themselves, I showed them what I knew, and they do really pretty well, but it's never exactly like I would do it because how would you know?
Yeah.
Unless you play the instrument, how do you know? So people really 98% of people that buy my instrument in this country get it from my website. And so I go through the harmonica again. Sometimes I have very little to do. Sometimes I have more to do. It just depends. Okay. I do the reed work myself. I don't really emboss. I don't think we need to because the valve actually makes it pretty airtight to start with, So, but I spend a lot of time with shaping and gapping to make it play the way I think it should play.
And I guess this question, Bruce of the Apes is asking, refers to how to make a half-valved harmonica sound louder. How to increase volume?
I don't know. I don't really think mine are not that loud. So I'm not sure what, I'm not sure I really understand that question. So.
Okay. Yeah, maybe there's a way of setting harmonicas up to make them sound louder. But like, obviously, if you think about a standard Richter-tuned harmonica, the closer the reeds are to the reed plate, the quieter it will be. The quieter you gotta play.
Well, and again, part of my setup is that it can't, conventional thinking today with reeds is they want the reeds to be as close to the slot as possible.
Yeah.
Okay. But now if you put a valve in there, and I want to be able to do spot on valve bends, and I want to be able to play the instrument either hard or I want to be able to play the instrument softly, I can't have them that close. It's just not going to work.
Yeah.
It's just not going to work. So there's a sweet spot. I can play it pretty soft and still do the bending, or I can hit it hard. Okay. So, there's a way to do it and a way not to do it. Okay. One other thing, I know we're getting close on time, but I do want to show this. Not only do we get all the extra notes, but the real advantage to me of playing half-valved is that I'm able to shade and round off all 20 reeds on this harmonica, not just some. What do people like about the diatonic? They like this on 4-draw. They like this feeling. That's a 4-draw note. That's what gives diatonic its soul as opposed to a chromatic harmonica, right? Well, I can do that on any note on the harmonica because of the valves. Here's a 6 blow.
Yeah.
So, and that's part of what is so emotional and cool about the half valve.
I do have a half-valve harmonica too, but it's a different tuning.
Okay. Do you like it?
It's called, I got it like several years ago. It's a golden melody, but like with a wooden comb.
Yeah.
Very beautiful. And it's called True Chromatic Tuning.
Play it. Let me hear it.
And it makes it easy to transpose melodies to 4 different keys. Like the blow-drop pattern stays the same.
Ah, okay.
And it's all built up in thirds, like. So you have these minor 9th, 11th chords.
It's cool.
I mean, this is probably a good harmonica for like beatboxers who want to include some harmonica into their performances.
One of the cool things about half valving also is that 5th position becomes really cool to use because there's some patterns where you can really lean on the valved bending in 5th.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because like so many players are used to playing second position in major, and the fifth position being the relative minor, it just makes the whole key more expressive with the valves.
Well, it does in fifth position, also opens up that whole bottom of the harmonica, which in third position is somewhat problematic because of the bending that you have to do. So.
Yeah. But I really like this one. Like, it's fun to. Actually feels like playing second position.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
That's the next key, just like 2 holes up, and then you can go.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't like have an overview of the layout. Like, I can tell you like which note you can find on these holes, but I can hear it.
Yeah.
You have the major 7 chord there.
It's cool. Well, one of the other things that's cool about all these different techniques, like half valving or overblowing, is that not only, I mean, because we're able to fill in the missing notes, now you can also start to replicate your licks from first octave to second octave to third octave.
Yeah.
Which is a real traditional, conventional way of thinking in solos. You know, joining the phrasing together.
Yeah, that's always a good thing to practice. And just try, or at least like trying to make it sound like the way it sounds in the lower octave, or the octave you can already play it in. That's
right. That's exactly right. So the other person, the one person that wanted to know, do the valve bends sound the same as the draw bends or the non-valved bends? So pretty close. They're pretty close.
Yeah.
Okay. There's definitely a little bit of difference. I mean, it's going to be because both reeds aren't vibrating. So, you know.
Yeah, everything will sound different automatically. Like just moving up 1 octave. Of course, it doesn't sound different.
Of course, it sounds. I mean, this is as soon as you change one thing in a diatonic harmonica, the whole instrument starts to sound different, man. So. I think what it is more than anything is you have to decide what genre of music you want to play and what kind of music you want to play, and then you pick the instrument around that. To me, because right now is a wonderful time to be a diatonic player. There's so many different. There's at least 4 quality companies making instruments.
Yeah.
Number one. Number 2, the different models and the different tunings and the different setups. If you can't find something that works for what you're doing, then you should go play another instrument.
That's true. But I think like both of us, we didn't pick our instrument having the style of music in mind we want to play early on, right?
No, not early on. Of course not. No.
So yeah, but
no. But I think players from your generation have a distinct advantage of that now, because it's like, okay, I think I'll play harmonica. You know, you're not thinking I can't get all the notes or it's limited. You know, this instrument is limited, because it's not anymore. You know, and you just you kind of shape and find what works for you at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt is asking you in the chat again. I don't understand the question perfectly, but Bruce of the Apes is looking for the same answer. I find it very hard to get the available notes equally strong. How do you guys practice this?
Okay, so the best way to go about, if you're working on a half valved harmonica, Okay. The, the best exercise that you can do is what I did as a demonstration a minute ago. Start on the draw notes and try and work your way up to hole 7 or all the way to the top of the harmonica doing this, going from neutral to bent, neutral to bent, neutral to bent. Right? And now switch and do the blow notes. Right? It's a threefold exercise. Number one is to get more dexterity to go from playing neutral to bent, to clean up your playing so that you're getting good, clean single notes and build up your speed. At some point, you should be able to go. Right? What's happening is twofold. Valved bending happens more towards the front of the mouth. Okay? It doesn't happen, the bending doesn't happen so far back like it does when you're tongue blocking and playing draw notes at the bottom of the harmonica.
Yeah.
Again, going back to the very first thing we talked about, at the top of the harmonica, holes 8 and 9. That technique, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Konstantin, but your technique to play those blow bends at the top is not the same as it is to play your draw bends at the bottom.
That's true, yeah.
It's a little more precise, isn't it? It's a little more controlled, and it happens a little bit further up into the front of your mouth because it's difficult. It becomes more difficult to control those shorter reeds at the top. Right? And if we think about that technique and start to use it to play your valved bends, you'll find that you get more control and increase your volume. And they'll start to sound more like the rest of the notes on your harmonica.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like good advice. I hope this helps, Matt and Bruce of the Apes.
Bruce of the Apes, huh?
I mean, that's his username.
I can see. Okay. It's not Bruce Wharton, is it?
I'm not sure. I think he's been in the chat before, but using his actual name.
Okay.
So,
right.
What are your upcoming plans?
Well, just to continue doing what I'm doing, and I'm hoping that I can start to play out some more live. The nice part about what I was doing before the pandemic was, like every other year, I would come to Europe and I would spend a couple of weeks and I would play gigs, and that was always really fun. And I really miss doing that. I really miss doing that. I've got some wonderful friends and players that I work with in Barcelona and in Prague, and I miss coming and doing dates there more than anything.
Yeah,
it's so nice to come to Europe and play for the people there. I'm toying with recording another project. We'll see. Not sure yet. We'll see.
Well, I hope to meet you soon in person at some harmonica event.
I hope so too.
I'm sure it's gonna happen.
Well, I'm a big fan, man. I think you're right at the top of this new generation, man. Your playing is astounding, and it's fun to watch. It's always good to see the next generation take everything that they've heard and then add something to it, and you're a perfect example of that. So,
well, it's getting harder and harder to get better.
Oh no, you can do it. You can do it.
So yeah, thank you so much for taking the time today.
My pleasure.
Everybody out there, please check out the description box. You can go to PT Gazelle's website, check out the 6 albums, and purchase the MP3 and the backing tracks. You can order harmonicas there, and you can follow us on social media. The next Hohner Live coming up in 3 weeks. Our special guest will be... it's going to be February 3rd already. It's Martin Dijak from Poland. He's a fantastic player too. Also tinkering with different tunings. So
great player.
Really looking forward to that. The upcoming challenge is going down on January 13th at 6 p.m. Central European Time, together with Filip Jers from Sweden. It's a folk harmonica challenge. Join the Harmonicats Discord server. So hope to see you there very soon. And we wish you a wonderful day or evening, wherever you're tuning in. Thank you so much, PT.
Thank you. See ya.